Okay guys, welcome. In this tutorial I'm going to teach you how to write a hello world in assembly, and then once we've done that, obviously the preceding lectures I'll explain how all of that worked and what registers are and how memory works in assembly and all of that sort of stuff. But before we continue, you do need a text editor. Now I want to use Visual Studio Code, so if you guys want that, you can get it from the App Center by clicking here and search for App Center. So it's by here. And I'm just going to search for code in here. I'm just going to make this full screen, guys, so it's a bit easier for you to see what's going on. And I'm going to click code here, and I'm going to install the stable version. And this is just the text editor I want because it's very useful. You don't have to use this one if you don't want to. But if you are using this one, stay tuned because I'm going to help you install some extensions as well on this that will help with assembly language. So once that's installed, you can press open here and it will launch. And you can just press remind me later if this software updater pops up. I'm just going to zoom in for the purposes of this course so that it's easier for you guys to follow me. And I'm going to click this little button here. This is extensions. And we're going to search for NASM in here. And you'll see NetWide Assembler. Just install this extension. This will just allow us to be able to see the assembly language formatted in a nice way. Okay, so it's quite important. Or you know what, you can even get this one if you prefer, but this one seems to be okay, I believe. So we're also going to get GCC extensions. So we're going to search for GCC. And I'll just search for C then. And yeah, search for C and it'll be C, C++, this one. So if you search for GCC, it won't come up. But if you search for C, this is the one here. Just press install. It's from Microsoft. That will also allow some syntax highlighting for your C code, which we will write later in the course when we're working with C and assembly together. And again, these extensions, you only have to install them once. Okay, guys, so once you've successfully installed those extensions, let's just open the folder that we created on the first lecture, the course folder here. Just like that. And you can ignore this README and the license. I plan to make this a GitHub repository just to help people. So every code lecture, there will be a link in the video description, which will take you to that GitHub commit, just so you can compare your code that you've written with the actual code in case you make some typo, right? So what we're going to do, guys, we're going to create a new file in our course folder called hello.asm. And you know what, I'm going to zoom in a little bit more for you, just to make sure it's very clear. I think that's enough. And so what we're going to do, guys, we're going to write bits 64. Now this signifies that our assembly code will be assembled for a 64-bit processor, okay? It's designed to run on a 64-bit processor. So if you do have a 32-bit virtual machine, guys, I'm sorry, but you need to go and get a 64-bit version, okay? As long as you've got a 64-bit computer, you'll be absolutely fine, no problem. As long as this operating system you have is also 64-bit. So we're going to write default rel. Now this just makes relative addressing the default. Now don't worry about all these terms because it'll make a lot more sense later on when I'm explaining assembly language more to you. So I've zoomed in a bit more for you guys. So let's start with the data section. So in assembly file, you have different sections for where things should go. So for example, the data section is where you could store strings, whereas the text section is where you would store actual code, okay? So we're going to say message colon db hello world. And then we're going to say 0x0a, which is a new line character, okay? And then we can use the semicolon for comments. So we're going to say message plus new line. So this is a label called message, and it has the data hello world in it with a new line, okay? You don't need to worry more about that at the moment. And then we're going to create our text section, which is where all the code goes, okay? And we're going to say global start, underscore start. Now, in a Linux program, you have what's known as the start symbol. Now, this is the first. Now, the code where this symbol is the code that first starts running when your program runs. Okay, I know in C you have a main function, and it's commonly believed that the main function is the first thing that runs. But while technically speaking, that's not true. The start label gets executed, which then calls your C main function. Now, since we're working in assembly and not C, we need to create that start symbol ourselves. So the start symbol can be thought of as like the main function in C, I suppose. It will be the first routine that gets called by the operating system when it loads us. And by defining it as global, this makes it public, okay? It basically makes it a public symbol that can be accessed during the operating system program loading procedures. So we're then going to do underscore start colon, and we're going to call the system write routine essentially, and this is kind of the prototype that it requires. So we're going to say move RAX1, and this will be the system write Linux function, and we're going to say move RDI1, and this will be the file descriptor. And we provide 1, which is std out, okay? 1 is std out, basically. And now we're going to load the actual address, the relative address of the message into the RSI register. So we're going to do that. Then we're going to move the length into the RDX register. So how many bytes is that? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 because of the new line. So we can just put 12 here, okay? 12 bytes to write to std out. And then we're going to run syscall. Okay, now what syscall will do, that will transfer control back to the kernel, which will then read the RAX register so it knows which Linux function that we want to call, okay? Now, it's important to know when you're using things like C, generally you wouldn't call these functions directly. Like you wouldn't write inline assembly and call syscall, right? You would call like something like printf, which might call something else. And somewhere deep in the C standard library, eventually these system calls would be called, okay? Now, you can find the list of these by catting this file, right? User include x86 Linux GNU ASM unisted 64.h. You can see them listed here. So 0 is for a read, 1 is for a write, which is the one we're using, syswrite. Then you got open, then you got close, you got stat. So you can see all of these functions that can essentially be called directly from your assembly application through the use of a call number, such as 128, for example, to call sig time wait. And the kernel will listen to these, and when it sees the RX register is equal to, I don't know, 165, it knows you're doing something to do with mounting, okay? And the kernel will deal with that command, okay? So that's how things are working at this level, okay? And you've got a lot of these, as you can see, 461 of these possible routines. And the idea is that you have libraries that can do complex things, and then deep in the libraries they will make use of all of these routines, essentially these kernel routines. Now, it's important to know that you're not writing kernel code, you're still in the user space application. By calling syscall, we just transfer control back to the kernel, where the kernel can process this command that we wish to execute. The kernel still has full control to refuse us or reject us. So this is not being run in the kernel, okay? This is still a user program. The syscall just invokes the kernel routines, essentially, and says, hey, kernel, can you help me with a syswrite? I want to write this message to the screen, okay? So that's how that's working. And the kernel will actually read from all of these registers, okay? But you don't need to worry about any of this and what's a register and all that. All of this is going to be explained to you as the course continues. So please don't worry about that, okay? So now we're going to call our program exit. So we're going to say move RAX 60. Now 60 is a sys exit. And you can see that by looking in these commands that we catted. And if we go to number 60, you can see that's an exit command, okay? So that's how you know. And we're just going to return the status 0. And we do that by XORing RDI by RDI, and an XOR with itself will result in a 0 result, which is faster than saying move RDI 0, by the way. That's why you do these sorts of tricks in assembly language. And we're going to call syscall. So this is our hello world program, essentially. So let's actually test it then. So in a terminal, you can get to the terminal by right-clicking, opening terminal on the folder of the course. We're going to write NASM. And let me zoom in a bit more. We're going to write NASM dash F64 hello.asm. Now if we do ls-l, you can see that it's made an object file called hello.o for us. Then we're going to use the linker, okay? And we're going to say hello.o. Okay, and the linker takes object files, guys, and it pulls them all together to make an executable file, okay? That's the simple explanation of what a linker does. So what this will do, this will link hello.o to produce this hello executable file. So we're going to press enter, and now you should see a hello file, which is lit in green here. So we're going to do /hello, and look what we see. We see hello world. So congratulations, you just wrote your first assembly program. Now you should be really proud of that, because when you master assembly language, you no longer need the source code to programs. You can literally debug programs at the binary level, which is a fantastic skill set to have. And you only obtain this skill set once you master assembly language, okay? Because all C programs are really, it's just human readable source code, which is then compiled into assembly language. And then from there it gets assembled into machine code. So using a disassembler, you can actually reverse engineer that C program without ever having the C code. And if you can understand assembly language, you will be able to understand how that C program works. That's a fantastic skill to possess. It's a very difficult skill to master, however. But with practice, you can. Okay, so there's your simple hello world program. So you should be very proud of that. Keep watching, where you will learn about registers and more, and a breakdown of how all of this is working, okay? We will be learning X64 assembly language in this course. I'll be making a new video every week. By the time you're watching this, maybe there's already a new video. So just check the description to see if there's a new video. And if there is, you can feel free to click onto it. Now, please subscribe, guys, because this is a free YouTube video course, okay? So we will be making a new video every week until this course is completed, okay? So you will learn assembly language for free. So thanks so much for watching. Thanks for watching this free YouTube video teaching you a topic on assembly language. If you really like this course, you can even learn kernel development in the description and put those assembly skills to practice. Check the video description where you'll get a link to the paid course at Dragon's App, and you'll learn how to build your very own 32-bit protected mode kernel that's multitasking all from scratch.